Yay! So,
Awesome.
welcome to our talk. Thank you so much to Library 2.0 for having us and San Jose State University School of Information for hosting this event.
And this is 10 easy ways to host a zine fest at your library. I'm Chloe Van Stralendorff. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the visual resources curator at Reed College in Portland, Oregon. I was a co-organizer of the Orange County Zine Fest in Southern California, and have loved zines since I was a teenager.
And my name is Matsushima Chiu. I use Amisa in Zine circles, and I use she, they pronouns. And I'm the social science and Zine librarian at Reed College Library, and I manage and run the Reed Zine library. And I've been involved with zine since about 2007, almost 20 years. And I've been a zinester, a zine organizer. I helped run the Portland Zine Symposium in Portland for many years, and now co-organize the Read Zine Fest here with Chloe and our students. So the first easy step is find your zine people. So Chloe and I started organizing together as colleagues in the library, and we wanted to bring zines and DIY publishing to the campus for our students. And so oftentimes these libraries are very fertile grounds to finding other creative individuals and very inspired people around you. For instance, we have worked with other places on campus, particularly the Multicultural Resource Center. So your zine people can be even outside of the library in different departments in the community. So in this case, we partnered with the Multicultural Resource Center on campus, and then we brought a Portland-based artist and author, Emily Prado, who is a zinester that we've known in town for a while, and we asked her to come onto campus to describe what was it like to go from making zines to becoming a published author. And so she was able to talk through a lot of different steps with the students. And in that way, Chloe and I are always trying to find these bridges to bring people to our campus. Other ways that you can make connections is from administration. So, who are your senior leaders on campus that seem particularly interested in DIY, alternative, punk, independent, or underground media? And you can leverage their interests to help you launch campus-wide funding campaigns. So, once people often see that senior leaders are invested, they also want to be involved. And this is including faculty. So, can you get other faculty members or fellow staff people involved? You can invite these colleagues to an upcoming zine event in the community and see who's interested in attending with you. You can start meeting students at, outreach events, orientations, and tours, and start to see which one of your students are most interested in making zines or art. And that includes going to community events outside of campus and meeting people from the community as well.
And two, zine making, giving students or your community a space of resources to create zines is an important part of building an understanding of zines themselves. So what Anne and I did was we developed a series of zine and art programs to softly introduce, what are zines and how to make them, how to print them, how to format them, what awesome tools you can use. And that really helped us build up momentum for our Zine Fest at the end of the year. And programming is something that us library workers are all interested in doing for engagement reasons, for outreach, and to create engagement with the collection itself. And so we'll talk more about the collection later, but here's another example, visual example of the kind of programming that we did. This is an open house event that Anne hosts every year at the beginning of the semester. And it's really a drop-in. You can see there's a basket there. So there's like prompts for folks to just like explore what it looks like and use different craft materials or supplies that are available to students. And what you can do is you can also create zine workshops. Start thinking about what that looks like for you. Maybe it's passive programming, maybe it's putting supplies out so students or users can access those supplies. And maybe think about creating a materials cart, see if that's an option for your library, and a resource area so folks can learn more about what a zine is. There's so much great reference material out there to help users understand like why zines are important. Um, and yeah, you can explore what that looks like for your community.
So here at Reed, we developed a zine collection in our main collection at the library, and it was founded about 5 years ago. So way before we ever launched a Zine Fest, we started the collection. I think it's a really important part of your collection development policies to have a space for primary resources made by students and people on campus, as well as your local community. We find that there's a lot of niche, underrepresented topics, and that is not necessarily the popular mainstream media that zines really shine a light towards. And students often are experts in their own identities and own experiences. And so creating a zine collection in your library is a really great chance to capture those voices. But it's also a chance for you to develop programming and displays and other ways to activate that collection. So this is an image of what the zine collection looks like inside. Our particular zine collection is actually in a room, a tiny room within the main reference room. So we always have zines out for display so that students and community members can come look at it. We acquire a lot of our zines at local Zine Fest. So this is an image of our cataloger, Sierra, and I at the Reed Zine Fest, and we were actively purchasing, along with several of our students, the zines that the student creators and tablers had. And the other image is just a stack of our recent acquisitions and purchases. And you'll see that we purchase a lot of different types of material. We look for specific types of binding, and we look for zines that are made by all sorts of people and all sorts of identities. And we like comics, we like poetry, we like photography. And so there's a lot of different variety that you can get. And this is what I was saying in terms of like activating the collection, because the more variety you have in your zine collections, the more opportunity for interesting displays. So we actively work with our students to develop the zine collection. So like I was mentioning, the students are also some of our purchasers. We work with our zine library interns to purchase zines, and then we also work with other students. So this is a photo of Andy, who is one of the visual resource student worker. And Andy came up with this idea to partner with both the Multicultural Resource Center and the Black Student Union and launching the Black Zine collection. So this is a new collection that was launched last spring, and we were able to use funding from the MRC to invite a special guest, Momo Mullings from Baltimore. And so this is an image of Momo coming in and doing a presentation and of DIY Black zines and activist zines that she herself has created as a part of the Black Zine Archive. So how can you activate your own collections? You can start zine purchasing on a smaller scale, going to local zine fest and finding zines to purchase. We purchase on Etsy. We purchase through independent distros, which is a term to use for like people who sell zines. And you can start. We find that it's very important that there's a lot of collaboration between people. And so we collaborate a lot with the cataloging and collections department. And we were able to increase the collection development based on student interest. So you can look and see what is your patron interest. It doesn't have to be students. You could be working with any sort of patron. And what is the interest based on those patrons, and therefore hone your zine collection based on those interests.
And 4, make friends with support staff. When you're planning programming or a large scale event, you'll likely tap a colleague or maybe a colleague in another department that requires their need for planning event logistics. It will just make your life so much easier if you work together. And there's always magic that happens in a DIY community when you're working together. And that's exactly what we did. And what you can do is tap into folks that have those audio visual skills. You might want to make announcements. You might want to play music and catering. Do you have snacks available, or do you want to have catering available for your speaker event? And facilities, community safety, and creative staff. Just connecting with those folks will make the event so much better. So think about your event needs and what would work for your community. Even if it's a small scale program, you might want to tap into those resources on campus or at your public library.
We work a lot with our students. So our student workers are one of our main ways in which we're able to do all of this work. We have developed a number of internships and student working positions as a way, and both the Zine Library and the Visual Resource Center collaborate together a lot and we team up to do a lot of our organizing and our planning. And these students are kind of the main impetus to do a lot of the events on campus. And so they make everything from the flyers, they do outreach, they help us with organization, they help actually run the events in terms of learning how to do the logistics. And so we kind of pride ourselves in working with our students, and we see the Zine and Arts program as a way of building these transferable skills for our students. Definitely the students are the future of it, and so we always are trying to welcome them into the planning process. This is an image of the second Read Zine Fest and the team of students that came to help us work on the fest. And so you'll see that there's maybe there would maybe be a couple of library staff and campus staff, but a majority of the people that are running our Zine Fest and running our events are our students. So how can you include student workers? You can identify their interests. I saw a question in the chat that's like, how do you determine patron interests? We have a lot of conversational based inquiries. We do small scale surveys. We base it on circulation stats. We ask our students, what are they into? You can ask your patrons, what are they into? And their students are not shy about telling us what they're into. From the color, they love lime green, to having them do a lot of the art, and they curate our music playlists. There's a lot that they have. We give them a lot of agency to participate. And we also have give them agency to pick and choose projects based on their strengths. So we determine leadership roles based on the particular student interest and based on what we think that they can handle and thrive in. Oftentimes if they're a newer student worker, we'll partner them up with someone a little bit more established, and then we offer a lot of collaboration and support along the way.
And 6, tap your creative community. We already mentioned Emily Prado and how we invited a local author on campus, but what are some other ways that you can tap into your creative community? Are there zine fairs, fests, or symposiums happening? Like, get out there and attend and see what creative people are making things happen, and maybe you'd want to partner with them or invite them to speak at an event. And that's exactly what we did. We invited a longtime zinester who actually founded the Portland Zine Symposium, and they were our keynote speaker, Alex Reck, and she shared the 30 years of zine making, which was fantastic and very special for us. And she also installed an exhibition in our library displaying 30 years of Zine Symposium memorabilia, as well as like her personal work, which was really great for our community to see like how impactful and important the zine community is here in Portland. And it's definitely happening likely in your city. So I'm sure there's like a mover and shaker that has been around for a really long time. We also invited artists to campus to host risograph workshops to teach students like different medias for our mediums for printing zines, and also a great opportunity just to invite those community members to campus and have the students meet them. Here's another example. We invited a sign painter, Kirsten Bauer, to host a Riso workshop and teach the students like lettering techniques. So we kind of explored all these different ways, but maybe that kind of programming could be interesting. And I know public libraries do this all the time, whether it's like performers or you're inviting a speaker to kick off an event. But in terms of like zines and DIY, it's also really special to invite like a creative community like that, whether it's like teaching soft skills or informing them of like what zines are.
So one of the we said 10 easy ways, and so finding funny funding isn't always an easy step, and so it can be very difficult. It's not always easy, but finding small bits of funding in various places is important, and mostly the most important thing is developing those partnerships. So we on campus have developed a lot of different places on campus outside the library where we've leveraged the interest around zines and DIY publishing with the art department, with our local our on-campus art gallery, and we've also utilized funding from the Office of Institutional Diversity because of the Multicultural Resource Center book club that we previously mentioned. And we've also, we mentioned earlier that it's important to get your senior leaders on campus. And so at Reed, our president was particularly interested in zines and punk and alternative culture and histories. And so when we captured her interest around zines, other leaders on campus were then willing to fund our project. So, the president's office funded it and the dean of faculty also funded it. So we had very diverse funding models, which allowed us to kind of create a more sustainable funding plan for the future. So the first year, we went out around campus to find funding. And then the second year, we actually kind of like shrunk down our plan a little bit, and we were able to have a couple of places of funding, but it was mostly library funded. And so this following year, we're now trying to create a sustainable model where we can host a Zine Fest event, where we don't have to necessarily ask people for money, but we can still ask them for partnership. So we share student workers. We ask other campus departments to get involved by throwing workshops and things like that. So sometimes funding comes in different forms. It's not always money. Sometimes it's about funding your experience or getting people engaged and invested. So these are some images of a recent event that we threw with the Multicultural Resource Center Book Club, and we invited alumnus Tessa Halls, who just actually won the Pulitzer Prize for her amazing graphic novel Feeding Ghosts. And Tessa is an alumnus of Reed College from the art department, and came in and did a very, very engaging talk. And this particular event was able to happen because we had this very diverse funding model from the Multicultural Resource Center and the art department and the library. And so and because of that partnership with the art department, we were able to capture several of their classes to come to the event. And so it created a very full, robust event because of these various departments and people that wanted to get involved. So how can you source funding? Can you utilize active book clubs that are on campus? Are there student clubs or local clubs that are around that you can start developing partnerships for? Are there special workshops that your library can host that have special interests with other community groups in your community? So are there, is there a plant club on campus and then you want to do a succulent event? Could that plant um, club come in and bring some plants and then you provide the space and some other external resources? And so thinking about what is there, how can you partner? We've partnered with local independent zine making spaces and risograph spaces. So, we will bring our students to their space. They will give us a tour. We will pay for printing, and then they help support that zine making process. And then also thinking about projects based on strengths and leadership roles. And so what are the things that you're doing, and then what areas on campus are naturally already good at that? So when we were hosting workshops for the Zine Fest, we started tapping into people that were already creative on campus. We got the print shop involved, and they did a stamp making workshop. We got some local we tapped into the sustainability person, and we asked them if they would be interested to do a nature-based walk around campus. And so thinking about strengths and who's already on your campus that are doing really exciting things, and how can you pull them into your zine organizing?
And branding.
Yay.
Cohesive visuals help with communicating and marketing your event or program. And that's what we did. We branded our series of programs as well as our event. And what we did was tapped into our creative community and booked an artist to design or brand our programming. So the plus side of this is that you get to feature that local artist, and you get to have branded material that you can reuse over and over again. Here in this photo, this is Angela Wynn, a graphic design student that lives here in Portland. We used a lot of, we call them assets, which are the smaller like designs within the poster. We reuse them in like buttons and stickers and flyers for smaller programs leading up to Zine Fest. So it might cost money to book or contract an artist, but it's certainly worth it. And this is another example. It's a different artist, Jaxco, but we used their like stapler illustration or assets to include in our email header, so that when we were making announcements to our funders, there was that cohesive visual included in the messaging, so they knew that it was coming from Anne and I. And here it is again, we're using assets from Jaxco's original design. And these are buttons that we actually gave out for free at Zine Fest. And here's another example of fonts, colors, and assets reused in the marketing material. So this is a pamphlet or handout. So it's really important to have like consistency for your community, especially if you're doing like a series of programs. So they know that it's the same, it's zine related essentially. Very powerful to kind of set it up that way.
So the Zine Fest is one of we lead up to the Zine Fest. So like Chloe was mentioning, we have a host of events and workshops that are happening, and then the Zine Fest is often happening at the end of spring break for us. And so the students have a whole academic year to lead up to the Zine Fest. So oftentimes at Zine Fest, we are doing more than just the Zine Fest. We have a lot of variety in the types of events that we host. We have karaoke parties. Some Zine Fests have keynote speakers. Other of them have hands-on workshops. Some do tours to local DIY publishing spaces. Other Zine Fests have cool childcare activities. They have live bands or DJs. They do drag story time. There's a lot of different ways in which you can do your Zine Fest. So here's an image of a button making station that we like to do. We like to give the participants freedom to make their own buttons. So they can pick up a branded button that we make for the Zine Fest, but we also allow them to be creative with our different size buttons. And this is always a very popular spot. So while the Zine Fest is happening, we host workshops. So in a typical Zine Fest, we'll host anywhere from 3 to 6 workshops that are running simultaneously to the Zine Fest. Here's an image of a letter writing workshop where the participants were being kind of facilitated through writing a letter to a lost either loved one or someone that they broke up with, someone that they might never send a letter to. And so it was a process of letter writing, and we've hosted correspondence workshops as well. And so there's a lot of writing workshops that we do with the Zine Fest. And we have signups as well. So the other image is that we have a limited amount of space, and so each workshop has a sign up on the day of, so that the participants are allowed to sign up as they come into the Zine Fest. We do keynote speakers, and so every year we've had a keynote speaker. This is an image of James Spooner, who is the graphic novelist of High Desert and a co-editor of Black Punk Now, and also director of the documentary film Afropunk. So we invited James Spooner from LA to come and be the keynote speaker for the first Read Zine Fest, and he was able to come and talk to us about what it's like to do independent publishing, zines, and comics as a Black creative.
And last but not least, have fun. I think any large scale event can be really overwhelming and stressful. For Zine Fest, there's so many things happening from vendor check-in to unforeseen issues. So it's really important to have a game plan with your organizers or colleagues. Just figure out what that looks like for you and make sure you have some fun. So you want to think about like signage. Is there a welcome desk? What other happenings? Do you know what time they are happening and where? Is there a point person? And then make sure you squeeze in that fun, make a playlist, schedule some raffles, stop by the community tables and enjoy all your hard work. One of the things that we did for fun is we hosted a punk show in the library lobby, and a shout out to our college librarian for letting us do this. We invited alum bands, staff bands, local bands, again, tapping into our creative community, showing what DIY and punk is all about, community, of course. And so we had a lot of fun hosting local bands in the library lobby. And we hope that you can make space for that too at your library, whether it's a Zine Fest or, a celebration after. And we hope that you can reach out to us if you have any questions about Zine Fest, but it looks like we're right at time. I don't know how many minutes we may have for like a Q&A.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. Chloe and I are always available on email. You can look up Read Zine Library on Instagram, or you can Google us as well. We're always willing to consult and chat with people that are just starting off or want to exchange ideas. And so we hope that you would reach out to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.